Welcome to Coach's Corner Live. Concern your child spends too many hours on video games? Before you yank the controller out of their hands, let's talk about how they can earn an actual degree playing esports. Welcome to Coach's Corner Live. I'm your host, Katina Rankin. Thank you so much for joining us. And today we are talking all things esports. And to help us understand it is esports coordinator and Tougaloo soccer coach, Ahmad Smith. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
It's a pleasure.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I am good, thank you. I'm glad that we decided to have the Black Couch Talk.
That's it.
Okay?
That's it.
I want you to start right off the bat by telling our viewers exactly what is esports.
Esports, put simply, is competitive video gaming. So a lot of people are wanting to spell it some ways, little e, capitalized E. When you see esports in any spelling, just think competitive video games.
And what's the importance of esports?
I would say just innovation. I just in any sports context, there are new sports that develop, new rules in basketball, pickleball is on the rise. Esports is just one of those new sports that is up and coming.
And so it's just strictly video gaming?
Strictly video gaming, but not just for fun, not Wii Fit, not just racing or chess. This is head-to-head competition.
Okay, so somebody's watching, especially parents, and they're saying, all it is playing games. And all it is having my child to isolate.
Right.
But you say?
Sure. I would say that maybe at one point it was, but then I would ask them what they were doing in the 80s, and if they were in shopping malls, and if they were in arcades, and if they had won any prize, whether it had been a lifetime warranty or a lifetime subscription to Rolling Stone magazine, or if it was just a few quarters to buy some prizes. But that was esports, and it's just involved. That's all it is.
So it's professional gaming.
We are college students, so professional, I want to use that lightly, but there are some professionals that do it.
So tell me how that actually translates to a student.
Yes. So we're in the college realm. So students are students first, and then they're looking to get a degree, but then also move on to a career or professionals. So just like there are basketball players who want to go to the NBA or minor leagues, we're doing the same thing here, or at least that's the beginning of doing the same thing here. Students who are competing at the college level, getting a degree first to move on to the professional ranks.
But I understand that they could get money from it.
Absolutely.
Tell me about that.
Yes. Well, what is money? For the college, as far as the college competition is concerned, students can win college scholarship money. So there are a national governing esports competition bodies that will offer you as much as $50,000 to compete in esports.
$50,000.
$50,000, absolutely.
You know, there's a reason why we are at Tougaloo, because they have the esports program.
That's right.
And you actually hold the championship.
I didn't know we did.
You did? Not even with that big award right behind us, right?
I'm sorry. We do. Yes, we did. We won. Absolutely. I forgot. Yeah.
So tell me about this competition.
So it is a wonderful partnership between Blaze Fire Games and the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference. They are combining to offer us esports competition. It is the first of its kind. It's never been done before. And I am excited to say that we have this little reminder right behind us to say we won it. But also, it's just exciting for our HBCUs because it's not being done like it's being done here, and it just needs to be exposed.
So tell me about Blaze Fire and their involvement.
Absolutely. So their team has been wonderful with getting competitions going, exposing the overall youth and college communities to what esports is and how this can lead into a career paths, even offering scholarships of trophies and rings. So they are trying to show people that, yes, this is an up-and-coming sport, not just playing the game in the room and the grandma telling you to get off. So this is up-and-coming, and we need to respect it.
And that's what I want to talk about, because Blaze Fire Games is actually giving out scholarships, right?
Yeah.
And here's my point. Parents are at home and they're saying, I really don't want to send my child to school to do anything in esports, but there is that scholarship money that's available.
Absolutely.
And they can take it to a professional realm. So sort of just walk me through that.
Yeah. So, it kind of depends on the esports context. There are colleges that are offering students, half of their scholarship or all of their tuition to compete in esports, and there are colleges like us that are just not getting off the ground who are making a case like, hey, this is going to be a career field for our athletes. We need to be able to give them scholarship funds. And then there are national government bodies, like I just mentioned, who offer those $50,000 funds, and colleges like us can participate and get those funds. So it can start from college students being students first and athletes second when they're here and they compete for those scholarship funds. And then it could be something as easy as getting yourself ranked online, competing in these national global competitions online, and getting a call from a company saying, hey, we want you to compete for us. And there's a way.
So even though it's called esports, electronic sports,
That's right.
it really is sort of like regular sports in a way?
It very much is. A lot of people do not want to give it the credit, but I would ask them to do the research. There are professional sports teams training as we speak in one arena. You could say these gaming houses or professional gaming houses where they eat, they have nutrition plans, they train so many hours a day, they work on their mental health just to be able to get that time in to focus on the professional competition. So it's becoming exactly like what you see on traditional everyday sports.
So with BlazeFire joining up with GCAC, they're really on the grounds up of something that is becoming really huge.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think they're on the forefront of really showing the world that we are here and we need to get on board.
And how rare is it to have it on an HBCU campus?
Very rare. I think to date we don't have any. I mean, there are probably, you can count them on one hand that has any kind of esports academic program for esports. But I like to think we're on the way to doing that.
So how did you actually get involved?
That's a good question. I was the young man who woke my parents up and grandparents up playing games. I was also the young man in college where this was my mental health. I got away from classes. When the calculus or Cal 2 or Cal 3 was too hard, I'd spend my finals week studying. That didn't help me pass my finals very well. But that's who I was. And because I was conditioned to think that this was not a road that's going to lead to a job, I gave it up. And lo and behold, professional and student affairs, college soccer, knowing that Tougaloo wanted to get into esports, it was an opportunity to jump right in and invest in something I thought was not going to be a real career, but here I am investing.
See, I love that. And something else that leads me to, it became professional for you, but it also can become professional for students because there are different fields within esports, like journalism. Tell us some of the things that the students can get involved in.
There was, it's no longer happening now, but there was an esports arm of ESPN some years ago. There very was, it very well was. But I think and families can do their own research on this, but I think the department kind of went up and down. They didn't see the vision for it, which is what I find refreshing. It's not that it's not growing, it's just that ESPN Minds didn't see the vision for what esports is doing, and it kind of fizzled out. But they realize that there's something there. So I think that is the biggest thing that I want to make clear is it's on the rise. We just need to be exposed to it more and more and more.
Well, finally, I want you to tell parents at home exactly why esports is important for their children.
Parents, I get it. I'm a parent myself. But just like you are being open-minded to Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, and if you're not, I hope you were at least considering it because that's what your child is on. Esports is one of those things. It's just another app. It's just another piece of technology, and it's an over $1 billion industry. So whether we want to ignore it or not, it's a lot of money being invested in video games, and not just video games, competition in it.
So again, they can get scholarship money,
Absolutely.
which most people don't know, and then it can lead to an actual profession because there are professional e-leagues out there.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Ahmad, thank you so much for joining us
Thank
and
you.
sharing with us the world of Tougaloo's esports. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you.
Great to see you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When we come back, we're going to have the champion with us, so stick around. Welcome back to Coach's Corner Live, everyone. We are joined now by the president of Tougaloo's esports program, Aries Hoskins, and our champion from last year.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, so good to see you.
So good to see you too.
Okay, so you got to tell me first, what exactly is the esports program?
To me, the esports program is, as my coach said, it competitive gaming. You know, we practice, we play games that are listed in the GCAC league, and we go out and compete. We just won. You know.
So I have to know, how did you get involved with sports gaming in the first place? Esports gaming.
Since I was a youth, I always played video games. It started with like playing Sonic. Now, that was my first game I ever had.
Hedgehog?
Sonic the Hedgehog, yes. My mom, she bought me the one in the Sonic Classic Edition on Nintendo DS. It was a 4-in-1 game. I played it all the time. Like, that was the only game I had. And then growing up, I just would see it more online, and then getting up my own. Like, I got a 3DS. What? 3DS. Then I had an Xbox 360, and that's when I was able to play like the mainstream games that were actually like being played in competition.
So what's like main games?
To me, mainstream games are the fighting games like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Tekken, things like that. But also, you know, in our league, we have Rocket League. I play that too, and Fortnite. Those are really competitive games to me. And like growing up and seeing it, I just thought I could be in this position right now.
So like for me, and I'm about to date myself, you know, I grew up playing Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man and Donkey Kong. And I remember Mario here in the background and other things like that. But you guys have actually taken it to a new level. Tell me, what is it about Fortnite that you like? Is it competitive for you? Tell me what draws you in.
What draws me into Fortnite is how creative the game gets over time. You know, so starting out in 2018, when I would play it a lot, when I was like, you know, beginning at high school, middle school, that the game was like really just fun, and it still has that element of fun when they added in these new elements, like just like crossovers with these other companies. Like they have a crossover with other games like Rocket League. They also have anime crossovers with Dragon Ball, Jujutsu Kaisen, and Naruto, and that just like brings everything into the center line, and it just makes the game fun.
So for people who say, oh, you know, video gaming, esports, it's nothing. They're just wasting time. They're just doing something to pass the time. It does nothing stimulating for the mind. What is your response to that?
To me, video gaming is very stimulating to the mind because having that hand-eye coordination, you can't just look at your controller and play the game. You actually have to watch the screen and know your controls, because every game has its own different set of controls. With fighting games, racing games, basic exploration games, but games like first-person shooters like Apex and Call of Duty, they all have their own type of gameplay style. So that stimulates the mind to be able to focus and just be able to comprehend what you're doing at the same time. But in real time, we're not putting the commands in the controller at the same time. So that's what I get from stimulating in video games. And it's also just like a getaway from, you know, the stresses of life. You know, being a college student, you know, studying for exams, studying for just, you know, classwork. If you're not understanding things, playing a video game can just ease your mind to be able to calm you down.
How supportive were your parents?
They're very
with
supportive.
you playing the video games?
They're very supportive as long as I got my work done. You know, I had to, you know, do my work and then play the game. You know, it was like that. And then, you know, they would not want me up late night on weekdays playing the video game, so I had to put it down at probably like 5 o'clock, you know, in the afternoon. But they're very supportive of me playing the video games.
Did they ever think that you would end up in college doing something with esports?
No, man.
Tell me what that conversation was like with your parents.
Well, the conversation was pretty, you know, straightforward, like, hey, I'm playing video games in college now. And then they just, you know, all they say is, you know, keep your grades up. And I know they're very supportive of me, you know, so they trust me enough to be able to do so.
So I want you to walk me through this championship. Tell me how this league, you know, came about, where you started, and how you rose all the way up to the ranks to become the champion.
At first, it really started, I wasn't even a part of the esports team yet. The coach just came up to me. You know, our previous president was Zachariah Davis. He came up to me, we were just talking, and I mentioned I'd like to play Rocket League, and that was a game that was in the fall semester. So, you know, they got me into it, and I remember it was one of these Christmas, it was like Thanksgiving break. I got a text from coach like, hey, you gonna be able to hop on? I was like, I guess I got to, so I hopped on. And that's just where it started from there. When we came back, I got in, you know, and then we started playing actually competitive around that time. And you know, gaining membership, I had to ask some of my friends to just come and play too, because, you know, we didn't have membership. It was just me, Zachariah, and, you know, there were only 2 players that are actually going to play. So I had to ask people to come play, and they came, and then they're a part of the esports team as well.
I love it. And then you rose to the championship.
Then we rose to the championship in the fall, and we just repeated in the spring.
And what games were you playing?
In the fall, we played Call of Duty, Rocket League, and FIFA. We played Madden. That's the 4th game. And then in the spring semester, we played Fortnite, 2K, and Super Smash Brothers.
So there could be some other college student or high school student that's sitting at home and saying, I never really thought about an esports degree. What would you tell them?
I would tell them just, you know, come out to our HBCU and play with us, but also just don't shut that out so early in your life, because the way the world is growing, where it's going to be, whatever you feel like is going to be repetitive or like childish, as they say, it's going to be a mainstream topic when you grow up.
Well, you know, I think I saw Donkey Kong on one of those screens. So I think we need to take a quick commercial break, and I'm gonna see if you can beat me at Donkey Kong. And when we come back, we're gonna talk to the athletic director of the year about how it actually stimulates the mind, but I'm gonna show this one that I can play Donkey Kong. Okay? Stick around.
Did you know an elephant can outrun Usain Bolt? Or that these beautiful birds of paradise flowers originated in Africa? Ever tried this dish, Jollof? From animals to birds and food, let's explore Ghana together with Nobel Peace Prize winner Kofi Annan as our guide. He'll teach us about the importance of education and why each young boy and girl should seek peace and their rightful place as kings or queens. This book will inspire you and your little ones to pack a bag and get ready to travel across the Atlantic Ocean. It's time to dance to a different drum, the Peace Drum, a Kofi tale. Available on Amazon now.
Welcome back to Coach's Corner Live. Again, I'm Katina Rankin, and I am joined by the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference Athletic Director of the Year, Mr. Keith Barnes.
Well, thank you. Nice to be here.
It is so good to have you on, Keith.
Yeah, well, it's good to be with you again.
So how does it feel to be named AD of the Year?
I'm still trying to get that feeling. I just do my job. And fortunately, some people saw some things, and we had some success in many areas, and I was named.
I want to talk to you too because you're on the ground floor of something groundbreaking that's not happening at many HBCUs. Okay. That is esports. Yes. Tell me how you all got involved with esports.
Wow. Actually, the former President Walters, came to me and said, hey, we've got to start esports. I think one of the board members had come to her and said it's on the rise. And we wanted to be a part of that, the initial phase of getting esports here in not only in HBCUs but in Mississippi, and that's kind of how it got started. And reached out to a few people, and we're fortunate. And in our inaugural year, we've done very, very well.
And that's what I want to talk to you about because you're a parent. Mm-hmm. You know how it was with playing video games with your kids and coming up, and most parents say, oh, well, they're just wasting time. Mm-hmm. But you know that it really stimulates the mind. Talk to me about that, and talk to parents about why esports is important.
Oh, it's very important. I mean, as you said, students and our children playing the video games, the one thing that got me with playing against my children was they always beat me. Because it was so stimulating for them, the cognitive things that they gained from playing the games was just phenomenal. Of course, I wasn't playing the games as much as they were, and then when I would play them, they would spank me pretty good. So I do believe that it somehow triggers the mind to think progressively. It also, I've linked that with most of the students who do well with esports and or video games have a tendency to fall in that STEM category, the science, technology, yes, engineering and mathematics. Yes. They have an easier route because the stimulation is there and it's constant. It's so quick, and it's having the mind is triggering so quickly that they're having to make decisions, and they're having to plan for the next step to beat their opponents. So I think it's very, very good for the stimulation of the mind. It's cognitive.
Absolutely, I love that. At best, they say playing the video games, the esports, gives children, young adults, something to do. At worst, they say, well, it's bad. They're playing these games to where they're fighting, they're killing people. Is that necessarily good for them? But I've also heard therapists say the good thing about that is nothing leaves the video screen.
Correct.
And it stays contained.
Yes, correct. I totally agree. I liken that to, or I correlate that to the idea of the movies, the dramas we used to watch, where this man goes through or this woman or someone goes through and they, kill up a bunch of people, and by the time the movie's over, or this drama that, there was a love story and, oh, everybody's hearts melting. And when the movie ends, when it says the end, you're thinking, oh, that was just a movie. So it's there. It is. It's left on the screen. It's nothing that is lived. So these are all. I'm not really sure what the terminology is, but it's left on the screen. Yes.
Yeah, it is left right there. So finally, from you, is I want you to tell parents at home why this program could be good for their children. And then I want you to tell potential high schoolers and people here at college who haven't thought about esports how it could actually help them.
Easy. Esports, I think, potentially is awesome for any student because it triggers those cognitive thinking, those skills that they don't that are at rest.
Yes.
It causes them to see in the future prior to getting there. The reaction times are so swift and so quick that they have to make decisions. So those students don't have problems making decisions very often because they're having to do it constantly. I think too that when you look at these particular students, most of these students end up in some type of technical field, which is very lucrative right now. I mean, you know, I remember some friends of mine who went to Tougaloo here with me, who got into technology, and at some point some were working with IBM and so on and so forth, and now those particular students, of course, we're older, have retired. Some have retired, and they had a very, very nice, comfortable life. And it all started with being able to, you know, move that joystick one way or the other. And then the other side of it is it's athletic. Yeah. You know, you're moving and doing things with your hand-eye coordination. Yes. I mean, you know, if your child is sitting there not doing anything with themselves and trying to figure out what kind of sport, but maybe not a physical sport, esports is the thing for them. You do use some of your physical attributes, but you're not, you know, competing. You are competing. You're competing. The sportsmanship and all of those things are very, very present in esports. But if the child is sitting there and not doing anything with their lives or just minimal things with their life, esports can really push them to that next level. I love it. Where they can compete, and that's, of course, what life's all about.
Speaking of competing, I am not letting you go before we play, because you told me you play with your kids, and Aries, you know, he beat me.
Really?
He's a former champion, and yeah, I used to play a little Donkey Kong and a little Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man. So we're going to have to go up against each other, okay?
We'll have to do that. We'll have to do that. But now I have to tell you.
Uh-oh.
I'm pretty fierce.
Well, we're going to see who's the king of this jungle.
Okay.
Okay?
I got it.
Keith, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so
yes.
much.
You at home, if you want to know more about this esports program here at Tougaloo or Tougaloo Athletics, period, just go to tougaloo.edu. I'm Katina Rankin. Thank you for joining us for this edition of Coach's Corner Live.